like our goal is to get you started, so you actually understand what you can do in the voice AI space in the first place. Everything from where you can start learning until where you can start selling your first solution. And yeah, this is kind of like the main goal of it. We obviously do offer some kind of elite version, that's how we call it, some sort of pro version. And this is mainly for the people, like from our sense, it's more like where we actually need to invest actively time all the time. So it's not something where we just record a video and we can teach someone nonstop how they can learn those things by themselves, but where we actually come in and do hands-on things. So yeah, that's kind of like my mission with Henrik, getting you guys ready for the world of AI in the first place and how we can take those things forward. So we're basically gonna mainly discuss a couple of things. First is what we're doing right now in the course. Number two is what we're going to do in the future, so where this whole thing leads to, so you can take advantage of it as well. And the third thing is probably gonna be a big part of this whole lesson, which is questions. So I assume like many of you have questions that you want to ask, so that's what we're here for, making sure we get everyone onboarded, everyone on the same page where we are, where this whole thing is going to go. And yeah, so Henrik, maybe you want to share a little bit about yourself. I think the majority of people that we let in, they come probably from my side, so don't need to share much there. But yeah, would love to get the brain in, the one who's actually building the craziest workflows I've seen. So feel free to go for it, Henrik.
Yeah, so me and Yannis probably started off. I forgot now, man. It's been a while. Our first project probably early this year, and ever since then we've just been working together. So we thought now we'd jump in and share the knowledge with you guys. All the pain, mistakes, and things that we went through, it should be reflected in the videos and the course content. I mainly, if you guys haven't done the VAPI or the retail modules yet, I mainly focus on those. As of today's date, I've only done the basics of each of those. Then there'll be like a sort of like a medium or intermediate step, and then we'll have the advanced kind of courses for those. So those are more production ready, and that's the ones that we've used ourselves in our own builds with our own clients. So we work with a couple Fortune 500 companies as well, and as well as little businesses, or even just people with one person in it. So there's lots of knowledge to be gained from us.
Yeah, it's very broad at this point. Also seeing the shift in where everything goes, because mainly in the beginning, funny story, when I started out in the whole voice AI game, I actually started building a SaaS myself, because I exited my other SaaS. Now it's like 13-14 months ago. So I was building a SaaS in the automation space for nearly 6 years, exited that, and then went into some new kind of venture, which brought me to this whole, I want to do this whole SaaS game again because I did it before. So that brought me to VAPI, where I actually saw you can do stuff with voice, and kind of like learning all of those things by myself. So you guys have the advantage. You have like so much knowledge out there now with videos, with templates, etc., on how to build voice agents. I didn't have that. Like, in fact, I didn't even have a documentation. It was kind of painful to learn this whole thing, because it's literally a lot of trial and error.
But remember, like those 2 weeks we spent trying to make that go high level shit work.
Oh yeah, it was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the end, it still worked out, right? We still managed to like deliver solutions, and I think that was like a major part forward. And I guess like the first 4 months or so, I probably had to do the stuff myself until I met Henrik, luckily. And that is actually like a very interesting thing to mention, because since Henrik came on, I actually pulled myself out from the whole voice building thing a lot. And the main reason for that is, and you probably learned it as well in your journey, at one point, you will simply not have the time to build that stuff and sell it at the same time. So you definitely need to delegate tasks. And that is something where we just have like a really good synergy, because I mean, I come from a development background as well, so I like to build things. I just like literally to sit there and code things, try to make things work. And I think that's something me and Henrik have still like very much in common. If you just look at an automation and you see it running, it's just such a beautiful thing, because you know there's like work taken off your shoulders just by seeing something run through an automated workflow.
It's so satisfying.
Yeah, it is. And this is kind of one of the main reasons why Henrik does what he does, because this is kind of like his world. He really dives into this so deep, it's insane. Like even for me at some point, there are some things that are like that he definitely knows a lot better than I do at this point. And this is mainly because I had to pull myself out, and I am a lot better in sales and marketing now. So
yeah, but you went from selling like things at X amount, and now you're like times 20 that price by the end. So you've increased your skills there as well, while I was increasing my skills and, you know, building out and using the tools that you guys will be using in our course later on.
yeah, exactly. So I think our first project was probably around $1,200 for like a simple voice build that was going on for 2 months. So you can imagine it's probably not the best ROI on that, but it's a big learning curve. So if we measure it in value or gaining of knowledge, it's probably still worth.
Yeah, no, building out that first prompt, it was like a cold calling script kind of prompt. And I was stressing that. It was like one of my first prompts ever. And it took me 3 to 4 days just to make a nice prompt, just that. And now I can do it probably in like 10, 15 minutes. You just run it through, because we've got a whole backup of like templates and stuff, right? You just run it through, and then you have a glance over it. You fix it up a little bit, add some variables, and off you go with testing.
Yeah, and that's a big thing that people don't understand. If we've seen it so many times that clients come over from other agencies to ours just because they couldn't deliver or they took too much time. So you'll see that as well. Like the initial effort that you need to put in to build a proper automation will take you probably 10 times, 50 times the amount that it will take you if you do that a couple of times afterwards. And that's mainly because you have such a steep learning curve in the beginning. So our goal with this whole course is basically structuring it in a way that we have kind of like built that system from the beginning because we know that system, right? So we start as well with how to learn the skills in the first place, because I believe you first need to understand what you actually sell. You need to understand some insights on voice AI, how you can leverage that, what it actually is, like what an orchestration layer is, things like APIs, requests, JSON, etc. So all of that stuff is kind of covered first in the course before we dive into anything like niche finding, etc. Now, I think this is like a very interesting approach because most people start with niches. Like even the people that take consulting calls with me personally, they come to me and say, oh yeah, what's the niche that I should choose to build solutions for? They don't even understand the basics. And in my opinion, if you don't understand the basics, you don't even know how to sell it. You don't know the value proposition. You don't even know what's possible. So how can you make a good product if you don't understand the basics? So that's why for me, and this is, I think, one of the biggest things that I like to emphasize when you actually start and you want to make money with this whole business model, understand what voice AI is and how it works. This is, I think, like the most important thing of all. Because you're going to get in any kind of stage of your business questions about voice AI that you need to understand to be successful with it. That is in marketing, that is in your sales calls, that is even for niche finding. I mean, I think we had always this funny example of oil industry. You can build voice agents for an oil industry, but probably no one ever uses it because it's like not business relevant, right? So having that knowledge on knowing where you can actually implement voice agents, how they work, is incredibly crucial. Now, that given to the course, I think we can probably just go over the things that we already built, because I think there's a lot of confusion. I mean, you guys have to understand, for us, this whole course game is also super new, so we try to structure things, let's say, fairly quickly, but still relevant for you. So you might have seen like the community Q&A section. In the beginning, we actually planned not at all to have any kind of community things inside the course, at least not for the free version, because I know it usually takes a lot of time, but I do believe getting the community together and providing free support and interactions as well is probably going to be worth it in the long term. So yeah, you will see a couple of sessions. So I think Henrik and a couple of other cool people that we're going to bring on, they'll be handling some free sessions. I think it was networking, but Henrik, maybe you can jump in there.
Yeah, so we've got one lined up at 5 p.m., I think, CET, so this Wednesday. You can see it in the events section. Yeah, so that would be for us to just get together, chat together, ask questions, share some thoughts and insights into what I'm building, what you guys are building, and whatever else comes up. And in general, just to meet each other, because networking in the end is actually the thing that could make or break your career path in this sort of space. Like, without having the ability to jump and talk to someone and even bounce ideas off, or for example, connect like how I did with Yanis, without having that community, I wouldn't have been able to do what I do today. So that's probably the most important part with when you're doing these things, especially if you're solo. There's not many people that understand what we do. When I try to explain this to my grandma, what I do, I just say I'm doing IT stuff. It's just too hard to explain. But the other day, I did actually finally show her, because I made a polish. She's Polish. I'm in Poland right now. And I actually gave her to like my phone, and she spoke to an AI for the first time, and she didn't really know that it was wasn't a human. I didn't tell her at the start, so yeah, I just said talk to my assistant. She liked it.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see, right? Like sourcing talent as well is probably such a hard thing in that game, and I think that is also something where we can probably come in, because at this point in time we have so many leads. Like today alone, I had probably like 12 discovery calls that have already been like triple pre-qualified, and still so many came through. So there's like a stage where you get so many leads coming in from a certain level that you cannot really keep up with the people that are actually experts in that space. So my goal, as well as probably giving some of the people in the space that are actually making it, and they make it well inside of the community, the chance to work with us on some projects, because we can obviously all grow together, and if there's an abundance of leads, why not, right? So we can all benefit from that. And yeah, I believe that these kind of courses are hopefully give some of you the guidance and the possibilities of starting your own business a little bit easier, because we just have so much knowledge now in this space after such a long time. And yeah, another thing that's interesting to probably touch base on is time zones. I think there was a very big one, because every one of us is in different time zones. Henrik right now in Europe, I'm in Thailand. So over here it's 12:14 a.m. So doing a late night session today, but the goal is kind of like to cover the time zones in a way that everyone can benefit from it. So I do think we try at least to do some sort of fixed sessions for meetups, etc. But there will also be recordings. So anyone that cannot make it because they're in a different kind of time zone will do have recordings. And I'm literally moving a lot, because you probably now know, since you've already watched some of the course lessons, that I'm always somewhere else. So I think the course so far has been filmed in like 4 different countries from my side, and it's probably going to be a lot more in the future. So that's just the nature of how my life is. And yeah, I try to kind of adapt and make sure we have some good slots for everyone to come in.
Yeah, we saw a majority of breakdown was quite a lot from Europe. The other half was probably from the US, but there was also some people from like Australia. So the people in Australia are probably sleeping at the moment. So all these calls are recorded, and we'll most likely put them up. I haven't figured out that part out yet, Yanis, so I will let you guys know. But they are being recorded. So if you know someone who wasn't able to make it, you can let them know. And we also do an announcement probably at the end of each week, where you'll see what updates we've made. We're constantly working on like new parts of the course. So what you see now will not be the same in a month or two. Like there'll be way more. So yeah, there'll be also templates available for like the more production ready stuff, but that would be more on the elite part of the course.
Yeah, it's probably also important, like why that's going to be the reason. So we could, for example, like bombard you guys with tons of templates, but a lot of them will be overkill. They simply will be overkill. Like even if we release them, there's so much stuff going into it and the nuances that it's probably hard to even just cover them in a video. So those usually need guidance, because without guidance, it's usually not going to work proper. So that's why we decided to put some of the things in the elite program, because I just know, because we will be having live sessions, so people can ask questions specifically about that, and they will be all recorded. So we have something to return back to in case someone has questions. So yeah, in the free, like I mentioned, we probably want to cover as much as possible on how you guys can learn about voice AI. And for me, the main focus right now is getting out the niche course. So everything about niches, how you can identify them. This is literally in progress. I've just written down, I think, my 8th lesson for this week to record. So it's going to be a very intense week, but hopefully a successful one. So basically, yeah, my main goal is to cover everything on how to find the niche with AI, how to identify the niche, how to identify the demand in the markets, etc. There are various ways on how you can use it. And it's not all about you building up a personal brand. That's obviously a part of it, because it's one that is very, very lucrative and attractive. And I think also the easiest to sell in the long term. But there's also going to be quite a bit on keywords, trends, and some other really cool marketing methods that we've used in the past. And yeah, that whole thing will be followed by marketing and sales, obviously. And thanks to your feedback already, we also have written down something about the, how do we call them? The examples, the things that we already built that have actually sold properly and successfully. Like we do have, obviously, since we are working with all kinds of leads and industries, we have tried so many different setups for so many different niches, etc., that all of the things that we built are different, like from ground up. So even if you think about you have a WAPI template or a retail template, it's different. Even if it looks like it's in the same industry, it's often different. That might even be just because they use a CRM or POS system that differs. And that, I can promise you, makes sometimes a difference of a couple of months for you to just get verified. So that is why we want to at least cover some of those use cases in the lessons. So you can actually see some real examples that we sold agents for, understand how they work, and then hopefully can build something similar for your specific niche. So all of that is part of the free course, what we're going to add over the next couple of weeks. So definitely stay tuned for that. There's a lot of really awesome stuff that's going to come. And yeah, Henrik, is there anything else you think we should add for the free one? Maybe the networking sessions, but I think you mentioned them already.
Yeah, networking sessions are happening. They'll probably be once a week. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe me and Yanis can jump in for like 30 minutes a week. We haven't figured out this time specifics while we're filming a few courses during the week. It's been pretty busy. What else? You mentioned before the like your knowledge to know about voice AI agents and before, like, as you go into sales calls, and I've seen it firsthand because Yanis knows the stuff that I do probably more in depth than most people. During the calls, people feel it, so they straight away trust him. Like he's got the authority, and it's way easier for him to then get the trust of that of the person who he's talking to. So definitely, I would definitely brush up on everything that we do in a development section. Even try building something, even if you're not going to be a developer. That's probably my main tip for that, because in the sales calls, it will come through for sure.
Yeah, they have objections, or sometimes it's not even objections. Sometimes it's actually just scope briefs, and that's something very interesting you'll see as well. Because obviously, in the beginning, it sounds always awesome if you want to go broad. So you want to learn about everything. You want to dive into any kind of niche. And it even goes down to the company size. Like I would even focus on one specific company size, whether that's small, medium, or some enterprise, or even bigger than that. It's super crucial because I can tell you from experience that if you talk to an enterprise client, they have architecture. They have like an internal architecture. They have a development team. So the services you provide are going to be fundamentally different in the way you send them over or you do them inside of their company than for one that has maybe like a 2 or 3 person company. They will hit you with things about AWS, about infrastructure, about DevOps, all kinds of things that you actually need to understand.
What was like the comparison, Yanis, with those XML guys from compared to like getting an API endpoint from them compared to just working by ourselves with like a 1 or 2 person team?
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother level. I mean, a lot of the very big companies, they work obviously with software that is already on the market for a long time. So it's like a big whale software that have tons of leads and everything, and they run on crazy privacy regulations. So I think someone asked today in the course actually about the difference between a public API and a private API. And private APIs is what you usually see with all of the platforms that you're currently working with, stuff like Airtable, Make.com, etc. You can literally just type in Google Make.com API, and it will show you the API for Make.com. Same thing for Go High Level. A private API is someone where they don't share the endpoints specifically. So that happens with POS systems, with CRMs for patient care, everything where there's like HIPAA or privacy regulations involved, and as well, obviously, for those big players. So in that case, it's not that you can just go out there and figure out whether or not those endpoints work for you. You actually need to run through a whole cycle of first running through their customer, asking them to get permission to get the documentation, which then it gets even worse because they often provide you a PDF document with XML payloads. It's insanely bad. It's really bad, and you need to extract the stuff and figure it out from there.
If you get anything with XML, just times your price on that project by like 10.
Yeah, if you get XML, you should definitely price things higher in general, because if someone deals with XML, you also know they will make more money because they work with systems like that. It's just like a very common setup, and that's something you can use for your sales thing. So a little tip here, but yeah, it's usually a lot harder as well on you. So you need to understand what XML is, how it works, and the pitfalls as well, because they're gonna be tons. So yeah, that's probably about that. I think I'd like to touch some things about the Elite program, because I saw a lot of people didn't really understand what this whole thing is going to be about. So the main thing with Elite is basically getting you to the goal faster, because we will be dedicating our time helping you with actual more guidance. So we spend our time making sure we answer any kind of questions, go through workshops, where we basically build out certain projects in depth on examples or on things that you can vote on, etc. So that is one of the big things, and we're gonna combine that as well with 2 weekly live sessions where we can just answer more questions. Because I believe, especially from what I've seen in my YouTube videos, maybe you guys have seen one of the AI cold caller templates that are released. I promise you, until this day, I'm getting the exact same questions over and over again. Even if I mention them in the comments, stuff is not working. It just doesn't work. It comes. They just don't. People don't read. They like to listen. So that's why I believe having personal guidance on a call is a lot more efficient and probably brings you further as well. So those are mainly the reasons why I believe this whole us dedicating time towards the community and voice calls and actually bringing tailored guidance is going to be more efficient for everyone, and probably to bring people faster to the goal as well.
Yeah, before I actually met you, Yannis, I was doing like one-on-one calls with people, teaching them make.com and pretty much every like voice flow and ManyChat and things like that. And people would come to me and say, "Oh, I just spent 2 weeks building out this thing, or I spent 4 days on this one mistake, or this one issue, and I couldn't solve it." And then we just solve it in like 1 or 2 sessions. So it really does speed up that process of learning for sure.
Yeah, because in the end, right, you don't know what you don't know, and that is usually what keeps you back. It's like these small little things that take ages of your time, and it's still the same. It's the same for me. It's just a common thing. So the more we can research and we can figure out, and even the community can figure out and share with the community, the faster we will be able to develop and deliver results, which is exactly what we want. So yeah, there's another interesting one that I added for Elite, because I think it's just good to keep things a little bit more clean, which I think is also just due to spam, etc. But we'd like to have some live chat there, and we're gonna have some live chat. And for my sake, I wanted to have some live chat that is more professional and one that is more casual. So we're gonna have one that is actually inside of the course. So you're gonna be able to chat inside of the course with all the community members. And we're gonna have as well a casual one that's gonna be hosted on Telegram, because I'm traveling a lot and I just like to sometimes randomly post things that I read, because I read a lot about updates and news, because as you can imagine, there's so many things being released on a daily in the voice AI space, or in the AI space in general, that are just worth sharing. So sometimes I'm just pushing in updates, and I think it's good if any one of the community members can just push in something cool they learned today, or maybe even some wins or whatever it is. So having some more casual chat would probably be really appreciated. So
yeah, we also thought Telegram would be a bit more accessible to people too, right? Instead of downloading the WAP app, I think mostly everyone would have Telegram. We're assuming. I'm not sure if you guys do, but that's what we thought.
Exactly. So yeah, being in touch, making sure we can engage with people on a more granular level and also more personal, because I think it's gonna be good if we all know each other, since we're all in the same boat. So that's gonna be good in long term. And yeah, apart from that, we're obviously gonna have workshop recordings. I wrote that on here, and some extra templates. That's basically what I mentioned briefly in the beginning. For Elite, we're gonna have more advanced templates that are probably an overkill for anyone that is just learning the things. So this is going to be not just about voice templates, but it's also going to be contractual templates. So if you're working, for example, with enterprise clients, or let's say even just mid-sized companies, often you need to have things like service contracts. You need to understand what an SOW is, so statement of work. How do you structure them internally, making sure that you're on the right regulatory side, the client understands what you actually offer, etc. Whether or not you need something like a letter of intent before you do go into a big project, etc. So those are all things that I think are that advanced that it probably makes sense to put them in a paid version. mainly because I don't want people to drop off when they see crazy stuff like that in the free one and then lose motivation, because I believe it's going to be a big one. Because our goal, like I mentioned, it's the same for us. If you're overwhelmed with things, it's just not that easy to keep yourself up, even if you try to motivate yourself. So keeping things easy and accessible is, I think, one of our priorities.
That's it.
And yeah, I wrote down extra tools as well. I think that's a nice one to catch up on, which Henrik was actually working on a lot. I mean, I guess many of you have been already part of the resource hubs, right? And the cool thing about WOP is that it allows us to give you certain roles in the resource hub that other people don't, which means we can also share more special things in the resource hub. So that might be extra tools that just make the workflow or the voice flow or voice agent development faster, more reliable. Because there are some pitfalls that, I don't know if you've already experienced it, but Henrik can probably tell a lot about patching assistance in WAPI. That's, for example, a massive one, a massive pain point. And we kind of developed our internal tools that we use to make patching assistance a lot easier. And those are given to you for free that you can just access from anywhere.
Yeah, this is more probably at anyone who's dived into VAPI a bit more, but you need to delete the ID, the org ID, the last created at, and the server URL before you can patch or update an assistant. So just like skipping all those steps before you update an assistant makes it much quicker. So we just create little tools like this here or there just to help speed up the dev process.
Exactly. Yeah, I saw someone ask about NDAs, Russell. We definitely can provide you NDAs as well. This is usually just standardized templates. There are so many out there that you can use that fit better to your needs, but I would usually just use something general that you can use anywhere. But yeah, if that's requested, we can obviously share some of our NDAs as well. But they're literally also same like yours probably. It's just a boilerplate that just declares the dependencies and what happens in case of force major, I think it's called, and these kind of things.
Yep. Someone had a question about when to use VAPI in retail. I'm literally working on a Figma board right now about the two differences between VAPI and retail. Probably should expect a video out by the end of the week. It will just give you enough info so you can decide which one is a better tool for you. And I'm not going to say which one's better because they're both initially, actually in the end, they both do the same thing, which is to create the illusion of talking with a human. So it just depends which tool you like using in the end personally. It just really depends.
Yeah, both have pros and cons. And I think in some cases, it really just depends on the nuances. But majority of use cases you can probably cover with either of them. Cool. I think we're good in time now with half an hour in. I would say we just open up some questions. So yeah, if you have any questions, just raise your hand and we'll just go through the list.
Yeah, there's like a raise hand button next to the hang up button.
I should probably mention
you can just press that.
Yeah, it's next to the share screen button.
Guys, I just posted my question in the chat.
Yeah.
About Wapify.
Let me see. Yeah, we know about Wapify. I mean, we are some
sort of discount for that, don't we?
Yeah, affiliated as well. Exactly. We kind of like talk with them about a discount. You'll find it in the discount section as well of the free course. Is your question more about if it's good to use, etc.?
I mean, like if you don't want to use Wapify, what are my options? Like, how do I achieve those three functionalities?
You mean, okay, so generally the first question I would probably ask is it worth it for you to build it outside of Wapify? Like, what is the size of calls that you expect to actually like bill your clients on a usage base?
I'm not sure yet. So I just wanted to get an idea, like, even before getting started, is it worth including Wapify in my infrastructure, or do we have something else?
You don't necessarily need to do that. If you've seen my last YouTube video, it's basically explained there as well in short, but we usually don't recommend any kind of usage-based billing in the beginning, mainly because it's not worth it. Like the amount of, if you have a client that is below 25,000 calls a month, we would definitely not recommend any kind of usage billing. Above that, it might become interesting, but otherwise it's a lot of hassle. So in that case, it's probably better to just charge a fixed rate on a monthly retainer that it's going to be a lot more beneficial for both you and the client because the billing is also simplified.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Cool,
So we
alright.
actually got like a list there. I'm not sure if you noticed, Yanis, of like people from top to bottom. So I think Lazar was next.
Yeah, I see Lazar here. Perfect.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Hey. Yes, we can. Mhm. Very, very good question. I think our setup is a bit unique, and that's something that we're gonna share more as well in the next sales courses. But we don't make any money on the actual minute. We do what we call handover solutions. So we build basically solutions that we implement for a one-time fee into the client's company. And then we have the possibility of offering them management on top of it. And I can tell you from experience that this works incredibly well. Even if it sounds like it's a single payment, in most cases, the people that we onboard, they don't have the experience on how to manage and maintain agents well. So that's something you will see as well. So if you build out a proper agent and you really understand what you're doing, copying or adjusting the things that you build is going to be incredibly hard for the client. So they are going to mess something up if they're not going to follow you. And that's something that happens majority of the times if you let them work on those assistants in the first place. So in the end, you build it out once. It's like a single fee. They don't feel pressured into any kind of MRR. And then you can just upsell your additional services, something like maintaining the prompts, making sure that everything stays up to date. If there's any model that is more, that has better reasoning, that you implement them, that you do automatic testing. So there's a lot of platforms out there that you can leverage for automated testing, which is also worth it. So that is usually a setup that we recommend a lot more than doing any kind of usage-based billing.
Yeah, this way we can also do quite a lot more upsells. So for instance, we had a chat voice assistant that had like 2 departments hooked up to this voice calling agent that we set up. Now it's got 3. So the upsell was connecting it up to another department. So that's another thing that you could do as well with your upsells later on.
Sure.
$10, man. $10.
Yeah. That's something I should probably mention. When we talk about handover solutions, meaning they own everything, right? So you basically go in with the expectation that the client has their own accounts. So you ask them right at the start that they need to come in with their very own accounts. So they need to have their own retail or VAPI account, whatever it looks like. Same thing counts for Make. So you are not the one who's rebilling for them. They will have their own account, and you set everything up inside of their account. Yeah.
Yeah,
we
we're
do probably, I guess.
we probably got
right?
them on YouTube already, but
yeah, I have like a very
yeah.
in-depth one on YouTube, but I think Henrik's gonna do some YouTube,
Yeah, in the course we don't have it at the moment, but yes, they're being created. No worries.
Of course, no worries. Cool. Who's next?
Anirudh next.
Anirudh? Yep.
Yeah, hi guys. So yeah, Yanis, long time. It's been a while since we last spoke.
Yes,
So,
indeed.
so yeah, I spoke to you when I was in India, and I was talking to you, telling you that I was going to move to Dubai. So I moved to Dubai. So that's that. So yeah, just not taking a lot of time. I think we will catch up separately. So yeah, I have this question that is it recommended to reach out or chase or find clients who are not very well versed about this technology but have the budget? So for example, I have extracted or scraped a list of like 1,000 something potential folks in a certain region, but I'm not sure whether they are aware of these kinds of solution and how it will be useful. So it will involve me to guide them into in telling them that these kind of solutions can help them in their business. So there will be a part where I have to sort of educate them and then pitch my service. So do you recommend going after a client who might have a budget but requires some kind of education, or maybe chase someone who is already looking out for such kind of solution of AI voice agent or something, and save some time in just not beating around the bush and educating people who may not find things interesting or may not understand also?
Yeah, makes total sense. From marketing terms, you'll probably categorize them as product aware and product unaware. It just means that both are valuable. You can just approach them with different kinds of methods, right? So both would be perfectly fine to approach. It's just that you probably have to put in more effort into people that are product unaware. So that means that you need to qualify them harder. You will probably face a lot more objections, and you need to prove them also more that this solution actually helps them. So getting one case study is probably, I would say, already like a big step forward, and having example calls available. So we love, for example, if we do example calls, it means that you can, for example, just have a single call with a WAPI assistant that you built for a specific use case. You can upload that to something like Veed and just generate a video out of it that just shows some animations around the call, what it does, and maybe some subtitles, etc. And then you can provide that to those clients because they love to see that, especially the people who are product unaware. They don't even know that this exists, and they are even more fascinated by it, right?
Yeah, so my first client actually was exactly because of that, because my YouTube, but same idea, right? But you upload your demo onto some platform and you share that around via Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp or whatever, and then someone will go, oh, this is really cool. Maybe I could use it for my business. And then they give you a call. And that's actually how I got one of my first clients.
Awesome. So yeah, thanks both of you. Thank you for answering my question. Cheers.
Of course, you're welcome. Thanks. Jonathan?
Hey, Janice and Henrik. Good to finally talk to you guys. You guys helped me a lot with my first client's phone solution. They are an insurance agency. So they wanted to transfer calls to a bunch of different insurance companies, and I had no idea how to do that with wbvg, but you guys helped me figure that out with patching wbvg and all that stuff. So thank you for that. My question is, well, I just have a couple questions from the first one. So like, you do your handover when you sell it, and then you try to upsell the monthly since they're not gonna figure it out anyways. How much do you charge on that monthly for like a small, medium-sized business?
It's hard to generalize, I'd say. It kind of depends on a couple of things. You can just put in some research. If they already have a website, which they probably should have, if they already have some money, you could look into things like domain ratings, right? Or domain ranks. So there's a site called Ahref, which is usually used for SEO. You can just drop their website in and you see their domain rating, for example. So if they have like a higher rank, it means they're already longer on the market. They're probably more established, which means they obviously should also have more money. And you can also see it often by the way how people talk inside of your sales calls. So generally, I'm not sure which point you are in the journey and how much it's worth it to you already. But if you, for example, don't have many clients, I would not put the price too high, because having a case study is probably the way they will pay you in, which is a lot better than just the monetary gains. So yeah, it depends on the setup as well, which kind of like integrations they use. Do you know anything about the integrations that they planning on using?
I integrated it with their CRM, which is Agency Zoom.
Okay, so it's a custom one. You did that already?
Yeah, I already did it. So like all the leads go straight to their CRM.
Okay.
I'm charging them about $400 a month on the voice. So I was just wondering if that was too cheap, or that was maybe a little bit too high. Well, they haven't complained about it, so I guess it's not too high. But I'm wondering if I could go even higher.
How much effort are you putting into it a month, like time-wise?
Pardon?
How much effort are you putting into it time-wise?
Not much, really. It's just maintenance, but I do want to do an upgrade because ever since I made it, VAPI release squads and I think it's blocks. I have no idea how to really use those things yet. That's why I'm here in this course. But I do want to update the voice agent.
Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense. I think 500 as well is perfectly fine for now. I do think what you should do, since you already built it for that specific CRM, you should just try to get this CRM into talks with you about white labeling or maybe reselling your kind of solution. Because obviously it brings them more clients and it just advances their feature stack, right? Which is something that a lot of those companies want. So they might be even pushing you in newsletters, etc., which helps you again to get clients a lot easier because you already built something that you don't need to start again from scratch. So that might be a nice way for you to discover a couple of more extra clients.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Well, I've thought about it, but I'm just lacking that confidence right now. But since they're a much bigger company, I think they might have their own already. It's called Gale. I don't know if you guys have heard of it before. No?
I know
No,
the whole
I
confidence game, man, but you got us behind your back now, so just go for it, dude. We got you.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah.
And then like another question I had was, which niche did you guys find to be the highest ROI to be in?
We had quite a lot from real estate, didn't we?
Yeah, real estate is good. I would not even say it's a specific niche. It's more like a specific solution. We really are big fans of things like lead reactivation and basically anything that is not cold, I would say. Any kind of phone interactions that are not cold. So neither cold calling whatsoever. Things that also work, which is, in my opinion, still not cold calling, is Facebook lead form ads, for example. Right? You just call them right after. This is a great way of qualifying them, and that's something we see people sell a lot. So all of them where you basically can put a monetary value against the actual result that you bring with this one call. Means one lead equals X amount of dollars to that company. You can basically just build it out once as a fixed fee, and then you can make it results-based once you actually have some data. So that's a really good way of growing, because then you can scale things a lot better.
Okay. Thanks. And just last question. So let's say you do build a voice AI agent for your client. How do you usually educate their customers to use it once you build it?
So at the end of a project, we will do what is called a handover session. In that session, we'll go through the high level of the build, and if they want to control it themselves and learn how to use it themselves, I will go through and make anywhere between 1 to 10 looms of like specific things, and then they have this to train their team or this individual that is in their company, and then they go through these looms, and that's how they are able to use the system that we've left for them without the need for us to jump in.
I'm sorry, Henrik. I meant like their clients. So like my insurance clients, they have their customers that are using them for insurance. How do my clients educate their customers to call the AI agent to use it? Because like they usually just, when they hear the AI agent, they just think it's the regular dummy voice bots. They don't know this is an intelligent one, and they just usually just skip it and just go straight to calling for a normal person. Like how would, I don't know if you guys been in a situation where you have to try and...
Yeah, you can set the first message to be something like, you can speak to me in longer sentences. I will reply to you as best as I can. Something like that as a first message to let people know that this is more than just an answering machine.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
All right, well,
thank you,
guys.
Jonathan. Got a couple more people and about 13 minutes left. I've got a call to go to. I think, sorry if I mispronounce your name, just fix me on that, please. Equi?
Yeah, that's correct, Henrik. Hi.
Hey.
Really quick question on the event types in Cal.com. So for the Serenity Studio, the wellness thing, I did that, and I have a friend who's actually looking for this solution. She has various durations of massages. So if you had one for an hour and a half, and 90 minutes, is it possible to link those through to one agent?
Yeah, so you then would have to then create an extra tool on top of that. So like currently in our course, we can only link one event to it, right? So if you're going to have a second event, you would then need like to double those tool calls. So you'd have a book, check availabilities and book appointments for another event. So you just have to copy them again.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And for retail, I didn't see how we could retrieve post-call details. Like I saw that in the VAPI one.
Yeah, I haven't actually made that yet. But essentially you, in retail, at the end of those sections, there's like a webhook section or something rather from the top of my head where it says inbound and agent level, something like that, hooks or webhooks. You can, for example, add in a make.com webhook into that, and then that's where it will send the call analysis and end of call and start call to it.
Okay, thanks so much. Thank you.
I can show you later on, but yeah, is that it? Cool, thank you. Tim?
Yeah, hi Henrik and Janis. First of all, thank you for doing this. I was really looking forward to the launch. So my question is, I have someone interested in a voice solution, and it's a veterinary clinic with four vets basically, and I haven't had a discovery call yet, so just they responded positive to a cold email, and I'm just not exactly sure how to price this thing. First of all, that's the first question, and the second question is, because also I was offering them like a free trial 10-day kind of thing. I just like put it out there without thinking too much about it. Yeah, just like want to know your thoughts about that. And in general, if you think that's a good niche basically, the veterinary clinics, and if there's like, I don't know, some minimum amount of doctors that you probably need to have, that it makes sense for them to have an agent. Yeah.
I mean, let's say it's mainly dependent on the number of calls they're getting, right? Because especially with veterinary clinics, it probably depends even if they have the budget in the first place of doing that. So what you could do is you could probably even do some research on how much a normal employee costs inside of their company, break that down to how many calls they have, and calculate that against the actual amount of against the actual price per minute that you would charge via voice AI, because that already gives them a good picture. Because in the end, you want to make sure they're on a positive ROI, right? If it's not about that, I mean, obviously the ROI is not the only thing. It's the calls itself, because you can also have 24/7 support via the voice AI, which is also a nice upselling point.
Yeah.
Or a sales point in the first place. So keeping that in mind, I would probably just do some research on if veterinary clinics are actually down paying money for that, and if it's worth for them. Yeah, you should also consider, like, I don't know what you promised them inside of the email, but if you need to build out a booking system, that's usually going to take you quite a bit of time, because I pretty much assume they have their very own CRM, which is something focused around dogs or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That definitely takes you time to build out.
I was thinking probably building something out in Go High Level for them. If they even have a CRM, I don't know if they even have a CRM. I mean, I think they're not like the typical company for having CRMs. Like these types of businesses usually they. I mean, I don't really know, but I imagine some of them don't really have a CRM.
Yeah, might be. From that perspective, you can probably try Go High Level. Just need to see really about the price. I think this is probably the most sensitive thing for companies of that size, I think.
How many people do they have working with them? Do you know?
I only know that there are like 4 doctors. So I guess like 4 doctors doing the actual appointments, and then probably I have some additional staff, but that I don't know yet. Yeah. So they're not big, like huge.
Yeah, ask how many receptions they have maybe sitting at the front desk. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, because especially since it's a cold call, it's best if you can just kind of convince them with numbers, and an example is usually the best. An example doesn't mean you need to build out a fully fledged assistant. You can literally just simulate things within the prompt.
Yeah. Is there like a rough estimate, like if you have like these many people, like, because it's, I find it quite a bit difficult to I mean, there's the idea that you had with the hours, with the working hours. That's quite a good idea. Just to calculate it like that.
Yeah, it's probably best. There's really no fixed number, I'd say.
Mm.
It really, like for me, it's a lot about the industry. You can try it if they're interested, if they like it. You'll immediately get the feedback if you showcase them something. But yeah, for me, I cannot really see where they have the money from to fully invest into that. But it might be that if they're focused on luxury and they just do like, they just golden their dogs or whatever it is, it might be that they're still down to pay money for it. So it's very individual. You should just try it and literally just calculate it down. So showing numbers and having an example is probably the best way to go.
Mm. All right, great. Thanks a lot.
Of course, thanks, Tim. Cool. Let's see who's left here. Russell. Hey, Russell, you here? Okay, I think then we just move over to Marco for now. In the meantime.
Yeah, guys, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Nice. So yeah, from my side, I'm into this voice space for around 2 months. I had some experience with automations before, and Vapi was like, oh, really cool app. So I wanted to try it out and see what I can make. And actually, 6-7 days ago, I had finalized the POC or the MVP of some kind, where I actually created the, if you wanted to say, dynamic assistant, where it checks the CRM and it's personalized with the answering the first message, and in that whole process, Hendrik actually really helped me. I was researching a lot on YouTube, and only difference is I made mine in NA10. So
Love an A10.
yeah, thanks. But your example in Make really helped. From my side, just quickly, I really like the course and I really like the community you guys are building. And one thing I saw, actually, I had some offers from UAE, from Dubai, like industry. And I don't know, I haven't found a way to like integrate Vapi with numbers from Dubai. And I don't know why. I think you can't even port the number or whatever it's called. But just your opinion on that. Did you had maybe, because I think it's a big space, the Dubai and everything. So I don't know from your side.
Yeah, we had actually
had
a
that
couple of
client,
projects
didn't
from
we?
Dubai. Yeah. You cannot take the Twilio route. You have a couple of local providers that you need to go through. I don't remember them by the name now, but there are some that you can integrate, but it needs to be probably through zip. So you cannot just integrate with Twilio. So with Vapi, it works with zip. You can probably even try that with Viper. I would just do some research on Google. That's probably the best. But yeah, I think the biggest challenge is the way they want to have the language being handled. Because the UAE people, they love their accent. They're pretty proud of it, which also is perfectly fine. But it means that when you build out a voice assistant, you need to also implement that assistant accent. And I know from what we've tried that 11 Labs didn't really have a good accent. So we trained a custom voice on it. So that's probably something you need to look into.
Yeah, cool. Haven't really thought about even that problem with the accent, but yeah, thank you, definitely.
Of course, perfect. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, cool. I saw
Russell again.
Yeah. So
yeah. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Sorry about that. So
No
I
problem.
just started in the AI voice solutions, and I've looked at Vapi and other things. And I've started building my first one just as a demo. So I haven't made it through all the courses yet. But one thing I noticed was it requires either buying a phone number through Vapi or using Twilio or somewhere else to get a phone number. But how do you get around customers already having a phone number that they already want to use, like maybe a Google Voice number or some other 800 number or something like that? How do you get around whatever phone number people already have and then connecting things up?
Well, it depends kind of on the system. If they run on their very own telephony, they can integrate it directly within it. That's usually not an issue. But I guess in your case, it's probably someone that is smaller and they just want to use their local number. They could do something like a transfer, which is something we don't really recommend because you will lose information of who is actually calling. Because the transfer basically gives you the number of the transfer, not the number of the actual caller. So that's big of an issue. But apart from that, I will usually just try to explain it to them that they should first give it a try with a separate number and then later take care of that kind of problem.
Yeah,
So your
becomes-
recommendation to an established company would be, let's get a new number for you off Twilio or wherever, and this will be the number that people call specifically for whatever the AI voice solution is.
I would say if they're already established, I don't think they're going to have this issue. If there's like a fixed number they use, they have probably a telephony system in place. Because otherwise it would most likely not be an established company. If they have a telephony system in place, Ring Central whatsoever, in there they can do the direct transfers and that as well with the right headers. So you actually receive that phone number as well. So yeah, if you want, you should probably try to get into contact with them and ask them for more information on the telephony system they use. Because that will give you more details on how they can implement that.
Okay, I guess I need to research more on how to do this myself on it. But all right, thank you.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky, but like I mentioned, if they have just a Twilio number, they can use the Twilio number, but they will not be able to use it both. Right? They will not be able to access it with normal calls and then with the voice AI because it's either this or that.
All right. Thank you.
No worries, you're welcome. Cool, then we have Oscar.
Yeah, hi, do you hear me now?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having this meeting. I have a question, a couple of questions actually.
I think we just lost you now.
Yeah, he's gone. I gotta go in a minute, Yana. So, yeah.
It's okay. Then let's see.
Okay, what about now?
Yes, I can hear you again.
Okay. So first questions I have. Do you guys have any experience in building solutions for e-commerce?
In which sense? You mean like for ticketing systems, etc.?
Yeah, so some systems for customers help or something like that.
Yeah, we did this quite a couple of times. Customer
Yeah.
support, broken items, shipping questions, etc.
The recent one was what the internet can't like internet one with calling up about the different phone plans or stuff like that as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and did you make some cold outreach only for the e-commerce stores, and do you have to say about something about their reactions? How do they look at this kind of solutions you provide?
Yeah, we mainly do we don't do any kind of cold outreach at the moment because we're just getting so many inbound leads. Because I would say we are already at a level where we are pretty established. For starting with cold outreach, I'd probably recommend showing examples. It's usually what works best. Because if people can see something, like literally just playing through a scenario, like if an item arrives broken, the AI helps with assisting on certain discounts or a refund or whatever that looks like. When they see that, it's a lot more feasible for them, and then you will also get a lot of better responses than just like promoting it via text.
Okay, I understand. And
yeah, guys, I gotta go now. I've got jump into a
Yeah, Henrik,
call.
I'm gonna keep on for the rest of the Sanjay and Oscar.
Cool. All right, bye.
Thanks. See ya.
Okay, and one more question. Do you have
Sure.
some kind of schedule for releasing the next parts of the course?
Oh, they're gonna be filmed in the next couple of days, so you should probably get the first couple of results at the end of this week for the niche course. So then we should have the full niche course, and the week after we dive into marketing and sales.
So pretty fast. Okay.
Yeah, that's our goal. Like we literally just prepare content. Our goal is to get as much out as possible so we can provide you with as much value as we possibly can.
Okay, so that's great. That's faster than what I expected. And about answering for questions from Tim, I want to emphasize one thing exactly.
I think we lost you again. Oh, let me see. Oh no, I can hear you again. Yeah.
Okay, now?
Yep, perfect.
Yeah. Will it be part for the pricing and sales of services?
I don't think I forgot that. What will be part of it, you mean?
Yeah, I mean in the course. Will it be some lessons or lessons about pricing and sales?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Special?
It's gonna be full blown. You have everything about pricing, sales, delivery as well. How you structure the offers, etc.
Okay. And last questions from our notes. What if client doesn't have a CRM or has a very custom solutions with limited API?
Well, you can either, if it's limited in the sense of it's private, you can try to implement it. It's just gonna be a lot of pain that you need to go through. If you want to provide them a simplified version, I would probably just sell your solution as an MVP or as a POC, depending on whatever the client wants specifically, and then use something like Go High Level to structure it out. And Go High Level is only if you need some CRM and you need to actually nurture them later down the line. Otherwise, you can even use something like Airtable if you just do some bulk campaign calling.
Okay, so you suggest to make some addition or expansion to the existing CRM, something like that?
I would do it completely separate. I would not even try to interact with the actual CRM if it's too complicated to implement in the first place. Because in the end, if you need to go into a CRM that is private or it has very limited API, you're gonna struggle a lot in the long term. Because if they don't even have a proper API, you might even need to create web automations. So you need to actually automate stuff in the browser just to click on certain buttons, and that's something you definitely want to avoid.
Okay, yeah, so that's what I thought.
Yeah, so it's best to just use something like Airtable if you do like bulk calling.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course.
That's all for me. Thanks.
You're welcome. Cool. Awesome. Then yeah, last one, Sanjay.
Hey, Anis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for getting this course for all of us. And I have few questions. First question is, I am currently working on Blend AI.
Uh-huh.
So how much time it will take me to transit from Blend AI to WAPI, as I have no coding language, no technical background, nothing like that. So I have to learn everything from scratch. With the I'm pursuing an actual course. I'm enrolled in a course, full course. So how much time it will take for me to transit from Blend to WAPI?
Ooh, that's a hard question. You probably have to answer yourself, but I do believe it depends on your skill set. Like if you already come from a technical background, it's probably going to be a lot easier. To put this in perspective, I think the first platform I built stuff on properly for like cold outreach in the very beginning was Blend, until they messed up so badly that I just searched it for another solution, which then brought me to WAPI. So I kind of did the same thing. I started with Blend and then moved to WAPI. And the learning curve honestly was not too much, because if you understand things like what an orchestration layer is, you will get the hang that you always have something like a first message, then you have a system prompt, you have tool calls, and you have some end of call report. This is like the major structure that you have anywhere, and all of it is just connected with APIs. So coming to that level, it's probably not too hard for you to learn something. However, if it comes to bigger things, let's say you build conversational pathways, this is something, if you want to migrate that in some way for existing clients from Blend to WAPI, this is going to be a bit of a pain, because WAPI has something like blocks, but it's still not fully out yet. So that might be a bit more of a different approach. So you might look into retail instead. But yeah, if you just want to learn it, I don't think there's any kind of big deal breakers for you to learn it.
Second question is, I am in talk with a very big institution in India. They hold 2 universities in India. So last month I showed them a demo with Blend AI. So they are pretty much impressed with it, but they don't know where to implement it. They want to implement it, but they don't know either to implement to existing students or to new students. Second thing, Blend don't provide Indian numbers. Neither they allow you to add any telephone numbers there. So how can I do that thing in Blend AI? Or do I have to shift to WAPI?
To be fair, I don't know about India numbers for Blend. I do believe that they have something like a zip trunk, like mostly any kind of company. I just don't know if they expose it. So you can either just try to ask the support if you have a possibility of implementing a zip trunk, because then you could implement other services that offer India numbers. And if that's not the case, what you still can do is you can go to something like Twilio, buy an India number, and transfer or forward that one to a US number. So you basically do a transfer on the call.
Twilio, that's the problem. Twilio don't have Indian numbers. So I have to go with the zip trunking, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there are other providers. Like, I would even just Google that. If there are other providers that provide India numbers, those are the ones that you can then just use and transfer the call to the actual assistant number, which is in the US number or whatever it is.
Okay, so last questions. Sorry for being. Then how can I white label these products? For example, I built something using Make or WAPI combined. How can I white label that thing? Is there any platform to white label that or something like that?
I mean, this always depends on the solution that you want to sell, right? So if it's only a backend solution and it's literally just supposed to call, all you need to outsource or white label is building a custom dashboard that you need to give to someone. If it's of them managing the agents, you can also do this through other platforms. We had a client, for example, that used Software, which just texted you in the chat, to build a white label platform of it, which allows customers to log in, have their assistants, they can adjust it, they can create calls, etc. But if you just do list calling, you might just want to use the Airtable interfaces, for example, because they allow you already to create analytics and interfaces and dashboards, etc.
Okay, so one more question. One thing they are actually interested in to build an calling assistant for actual students who are studying in the university. So for that, I need to something like a database. So should I go with their own CRM, own private CRM, or I just take their UIDs and name to my own database or knowledge base in WAPI?
Generally, I'd not recommend the knowledge base in WAPI because it bloats your prompts and it causes a lot of more hallucinations. So if you want to do some retrievals with knowledge bases, you can probably build something on. I'd say the easiest way is probably Pinecone.
Can you type it out so I can?
Yeah, of course. It's like that. The thing is, you need to connect it separately through a tool call, because it's external, right? So you want to get the data from somewhere else. WAPI's knowledge base is great if you have just a very, very small knowledge base, which in that case would only make sense. Would even make sense to just put it inside of the system prompt. But yeah, because like with every retrieval, they will append the context, which just bloats the overall prompt and the phone call.
It would be like 100K UIDs and student names along with their courses and all kinds of data.
Trust me, you want to put this into something like Pinecone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for the input, man.
Of course, no worries. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, perfect. Good. I see there's some more, but I think we probably have to put them to the next session because we're already way over time. But yeah, I hope every one of you guys learned something already. And if not, hopefully within the course, like we try to cover everything that we mentioned so far as well. So just to put this on a quick recap, our main things for the next couple of weeks is going to be finish the niche course, finish the marketing course, and the sales course, release all of them. So you have those information. And there's some extra little goodies that we're going to bring along that I haven't mentioned yet, but we're going to bring in some other really cool experts in the field that are also YouTubers in the voice AI space, pretty decent. And I've planned some really cool interviews with them. So yeah, everyone that is already on YouTube and knows some of those people, they'll be very happy of what they're going to find in the next couple of weeks.
Yanis, sorry to interrupt, but I guess another YouTuber was here.
Yeah, Taha was here.
Taha was here.
Yeah, I'm also gonna meet Taha tomorrow, so he'll have an interview. And yeah, you guys will see some really cool stuff.
Okay.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, thanks for joining. Really appreciate every one of you, and looking forward to the next one. And obviously, if there are any questions or whatever, inside of the course there's a community section and suggestions. So always happy to see any kind of feedback that you guys might have. And yeah, I hope you're just as excited as we are for the next couple of